This right here is the best melon pumpkin farm in Minecraft, giving you hundreds of items per hour. It is very quick and easy to build. However, you can also stack it to get much more loot, and it will even automatically sort melons and pumpkins into different chests for you. Here are the materials that you need to build it, and now let's go. First of all, we start out by digging a 9x9 block hole that is 2 blocks deep. At the bottom of this hole then, you now want to dig out one additional line of blocks that we're going to fill up with redstone blocks. If you're short on redstone and you can't afford that many redstone blocks just yet, you can alternatively make this trench 2 blocks deep and put normal redstone torches at the bottom, and then close it up with a building block of your choice. Both ways work, it's just that with the redstone blocks, the farm becomes easier to stack into a tower later. However, regardless of which way you chose, what you want to do next is build a snaking rail system all across the bottom of the hole from one side to another. For this, you're mostly going to use normal rails. However, for the powered blocks, either the redstone ones or the ones with the torch under them, you instead want to use powered rails so that later our minecart will always have enough energy. Once that's done, you should now have a rail system that looks something like this, with the start at the top left and the end at the bottom right corner. On one of these ends now, doesn't matter which one, you want to place another powered block with a powered redstone rail on top that leads directly into the block, so that whenever a minecart hits this spot, it will immediately turn back. The other end though, we're gonna leave it for the time being and return to it later when we build our collection system. And as always, if you could leave a quick like for the video, that would be super cool because it helps me get these tutorials out to more people. So thank you so much for your support. But okay, we now have our rail system, which is later going to help us picking up all the items. Let's now though get to the main portion of the farm, which would of course be the melon and pumpkin field. This one is actually very easy. All you gotta do is cover up this hole with 9x9 blocks of dirt. The very middle block of the dirt though, we're gonna replace that with a block of leaves and then place a bucket of water into this leaf block. This will make it that all the dirt blocks around us will be hydrated, but at the same time, the leaf block prevents the water from running down into our minecart system. On top of that leaf block, we're then gonna place a source of light, like for example this glowstone right here. And finally, all we gotta do then is use a hoe to turn all of those dirt blocks into farmland. But okay, before we place our pumpkins and melons into the fields now, we first gotta work on our harvesting mechanism, which is gonna involve a bunch of pistons and observers. And for this one, it is very important that you do it exactly like I show right here, because otherwise it's probably not gonna work. First of all, to make it a bit easier to build, we want to make a roof out of temporary blocks over this farm. You want to make it 2 blocks high so that you can stand just about in between. Once that roof is finished, you want to now crouch and place pistons against the ceiling of the roof in a way that the wooden piston part is pointing down. The way we do this is that we keep the very corners of the roof free, and then every second block will be a piston, so that at the end we're gonna have a sort of a chessboard formation of pistons just like you see right here. The only very important thing here is you gotta do the pistons in a way that the corners are free. But alright, once you've placed all the pistons, you can go up and delete the temporary roof again. Now, it's finally time to plant our melons and pumpkins. To do that, place your melon and pumpkin seeds into those farmland blocks that don't have a piston over them. Just by the way, it doesn't matter in which order you arrange your pumpkins and melons, given the fact that we build a sorting system at the end anyway, you can really put in the seeds in whichever formation you like. However, once you're done planting, it is now time to place an observer over every block that has a plant in it. The way you do this, also here, very important, place them in a way that the redstone part, the back of the observer, points upwards like I show right here. If you did everything correctly, then the whole thing should now look something like this, with a full roof consisting out of observers as well as pistons in a chessboard formation. And finally, to also make the whole thing work, we now need to cover the whole thing with redstone so that every observer signal can reach the corresponding pistons. And with that, the farming part will be done, leaving only the collection system to be built. Before we get into that though, if you want to see more great Minecraft farms explained very easily so that everybody can build them no problem, then you might want to think about maybe leaving the channel a sub, because there is so much more to come. Welcome to the crew! So far, so good. This would be the main portion of the farm. However, before we end the video, we of course also have to finish up our collection system. So let's do that. What we want to do now is go to the one end of the rails that we previously didn't do anything with and dig a 6x6 blocks hole right next to it. This hole should be 8 blocks deep like I show right here. Once the hole is finished, the first thing we of course need to do is building a minecart unloader. This is very simple, just put one chest next to the block at the corner and then on the very corner itself a hopper pointing into the chest. On top of the hopper, we now put a powered rail. Next, to the lower side of the hopper, we place down a block with a comparator on top, which goes into another block onto which we put a redstone torch at the other end. Over the redstone torch, we put another block, followed by a repeater pointing into the hopper direction, and then a final block in between. This construction right here will make it that the minecart gets stopped until it is fully unloaded, and once it is empty, a redstone signal will be given to send it back. This way, it goes back and forth under the farm, constantly picking up everything that drops, depositing it into the chest. However, in the intro, I promised you that we're gonna have a sorting system that separates the melon slices from the pumpkins, and the way we do this is as follows. Under this little loot chest that we just made, we're gonna place a row of 3 hoppers that are all pointing to the side. Then, under the 2 hoppers that don't have a chest on top, we're gonna place 3 more hoppers pointing downwards into a large chest so that at the end the whole thing looks like this. 1 chest will be for the melons, 1 chest for the pumpkins. Then, against the middle hopper, you want to build a block construction that looks exactly like this. Once that's finished, you're going to put 2 comparators on the top like this, followed by 6 blocks of redstone, a repeater in the bottom hole, and then redstone torches against the adjacent block. Once that's finished, you're going to remove the top hoppers and rearrange them in a way that they're pointing into the comparators. You gotta make sure that these hoppers are not facing down, they need to point into the comparators so they can read them. And then finally, once all of that is done, you want to open up those 2 hoppers that are pointing into the comparators and put 44 worthless filler items into them. It can be whatever you want. For the sake of this video, I'm using normal dirt. The only thing that is important is that you cover the 4 right slots of the hoppers completely so that only the leftmost slot stays open. In this slot then, for the one hopper, you put in a melon slice, and for the other one, a pumpkin. This way, the system will automatically unload the minecart and separate the melon slices from the pumpkins, sorting them into 2 different chests. If you want to, you can now put a roof back on the hole so that it doesn't remain open. But if you want to have even more melon slices and even more pumpkins, then it's also very easy to stack this into a big tower because it is specifically built in a way that makes stacking easy. All you gotta do is take the entire mechanism and copy-paste it on top. Then add the minecart unloader on the side, of course, and the only thing that is really different with the other layers is that instead of having the unloader unload into a little chest on the side, you want to have them unload into a column of hoppers so that they point all the way down into our initial unloading chest. This way, the item sorter that we have on the bottom works for all the layers combined. And now, check out these 10 super easy farms that you can literally build in just 1 minute. See you next time, and until then, craft well.